All right, let's get this party started. Hey peeps, it's Lisa here with another video, and today I'm talking about being broke. Now, I know I look pretty poppin' right now with this necklace, but I figure, you know, just because the topic is about brokenness doesn't mean we can't look fly. Before we get into this video, I am in the process of trying to get consistent with the amount of videos that I'm posting. So far I've only been doing about a video a month. However, real life and behind the scenes, I have a whole bunch of other things going. And in saying that, I am having a whole channel overhaul within the next couple of months. Do You Speak Cilantro is going to change to a different name. This is across all of the platforms. This will be across Instagram, as well as a website that's coming, nomadpeeps.com. If you've been following me on Instagram or you've followed my page, you've been seeing some things that I've been alluding to of this change. So just keep your eye on that. If you are a part of the Nomad Peeps crew and you like what's happening here on this channel, you fucks with me, then yeah, just stay tuned, because there's going to be some more changes coming, and I have some awesome projects on the way. It's just that being here in South Korea, I'm finally feeling settled after 3 months. So anyway, that's out of the way. So like I said, you know, for right now, everything is still Queen Peachy Bay at Instagram as well as Snapchat, and Do You Speak Cilantro on Facebook.com. But anyway, let's get into this video. So if you click this video, it's because you saw the title and it mentioned broke and being abroad. One thing that I've gotten a lot of questions over the years is about how I travel, how I've been able to travel long term, and how I've ended up, you know, having jobs that allowed me to work abroad. Now, before we get into anything, I want to say that there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Broke and poor are not the same things. The difference with being poor and experiencing poverty is that it's not funny, and it's not something that people usually joke about. For example, you'll hear people often say, oh man, I'm broke this week, I'm broke, I don't have this, that. Like, I say it a lot, and that does not mean that I'm poor, and that's not really, I don't really feel like it's a joking matter, because there are people who deal with poverty, and speaking from, and you know, coming from America, poverty is not something that's easy to get out of, and it's a struggle. People deal with it day in, day out. It's something that's on their mind all the time. I'm lucky enough to come from a family that is, I guess, technically considered middle class. So as far as like growing up, I can't say I've ever experienced poverty. Even now in my current situation of being broke, I still have help if I need it, and that's the difference. So when you're talking about being broke, broke is just a, how should I put it? Being broke, it's a real thing, but it usually has to do with not having money for a period of time. And when I say a period of time, the idea is that it's a period of time that will end. So that's the difference between being broke. So I just want to make that clear as we get into this video, as far as so anybody watching this understands what I am actually talking about as far as being broke. You know, you can be broke and living paycheck to paycheck, but you can also be poor living paycheck to paycheck, but there's a difference there. So anyone that follows me on IG may have noticed that my posts earlier last week were a little bit, I was talking about being broke, and I decided to make this video because it was something I thought about making before, especially when you're talking about social media in general. Most people, it's all about putting your best foot forward. People, you know, are usually putting like positive images, you know, all the exciting things that are happening in their life. But I would say I kind of feel like IG and like social media, it's like full of like shapeshifters, because people want to look good, so they're not always going to talk about tough times that they're having. And then on the other hand, you got people who are living lives, or on, you know, social media, they are living lives that in reality they're not really living that life. We have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, especially when it comes to like a lot of like travel accounts and stuff like that. I know I'll be looking at accounts, I'm like, damn, like they just have every photo is just like perfectly staged, like it's not a selfie. Like, do these people have photographers? Like, how is this happening? So this is why I wanted to make the video, because one thing I don't see a lot of is people actually talking about money. I feel like we still live in a society where people don't like to talk about money, whether it's like how they got it or what they're doing. So that's what this video, that's what I'm trying to get into today. So briefly, I'm just gonna do like a full disclosure. I'm not gonna get too much into details because I already have a video where I'm talking about the reasons why I quit my last job. So I'm not gonna talk about that. But what I am gonna talk about is the past year in general, starting from October of 2017, which is when I left Australia, to now. Now, the money that I had leaving Australia was kind of like my cushion. I was leaving with, you know, basically money I had saved up. And I was also banking on the fact that, and you know, in Australia, when you finish your working holiday visa, you get a superannuation, which is basically like, I guess it's like your pension. It's kind of like their social security type of situation, where if you're a resident, normally you would get that when you like, I guess, turn like 60 or hit retirement age. But if you're on a working holiday visa, you basically have to fill out all these forms, yada, 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 you get your money back. However, I was thinking that I was going to be getting a nice solid chunk because I had accumulated 3 years worth of superannuation, which ended up being around 10,000 something Australian dollars. So I was kind of like, at the time I was like, oh, I'm going to be sitting pretty, I can coast along until I figure out the next thing. And that turned out not to be the case at all. So if I'm honest, I kind of feel like end of 2018 and coming into the beginning, well, we're not in the beginning of 2018 anymore. We're over halfway through the year. It's crazy. I kind of feel like I've been taking some L's financially, but I mean, like I said, I'm lucky enough to have some help from my mom, as well as when I went home, I ended up taking on another job, just something temporary, because I knew I was going to be out. And it turned out that that job really didn't pay as much as I was thinking it was going to pay. So it was just kind of like, basically I was literally coasting along from paycheck to paycheck. That 10,000 that I thought I was gonna get from my superannuation ended up being like, they taxed the fuck out of it, which I was just really surprised, like 60%. So it ended up being like, what was like 3,000 something dollars. So that pretty much allowed me to, yeah, I was like floating around where I went to Taiwan. I stayed in Vietnam for 2 weeks. I was in Seoul for like a week, and then back and forth while I was waiting to hear about a job in Hong Kong. So I say all of this to say that it's funny because hindsight is always 20/20, and I was having a bit of a tricky period in the beginning of this year, feeling very stressed out about money, which, as I've also mentioned before, if you follow my IG stories, I hate stressing about money. I feel like that's like the worst thing in the world. It's just always on your mind, you know, as far as, because for this is the world that we live in, you know, we need money for everything, to live, to do things, to enjoy. So that's why I really hate stressing about it. But at the same time, I kind of feel like, I'm like, okay, I know I have skills, and that's kind of like what keeps me going usually. But yeah, earlier this year was pretty much, I feel like it's the brokest I've been in a while. I've always usually had some type of cushion to depend on, like a tax return here, or like, you know, even y'all, they took my tax returns from Australia because I was like, oh, well, there's still that. Went through the whole process, waited 6 weeks for them to tell me that all of those taxes, for some reason, I wasn't getting anything back. Matter of fact, I owed the people who did the tax return for me $40. So that's what ended up that. So it was just kind of like, it was just so frustrating. So all of this was money that I thought that I was going to be, you know, or well, I thought was going to be coming my way to kind of like float me into the next thing. And that's pretty much how I've honestly traveled. I just like, I'm pretty much, it's just been one thing pretty much for the past 7 years. Either one job just floats me right into the next one, because I don't come from money. My family doesn't really come from money. We've always been, we've done well, my family, but just general, you know, middle class. And a lot of stuff that I've done has all been on my own as far as travel. I haven't really received any help from my family. And when I say don't receive help, I mean not like huge massive sums. Like, you got some people out here, and that's, you know, some people got it like that, where they can just take a gap year or whatever, and their family's like footing the bill for whatever. But like, yeah, that's just wasn't my situation. And then on top of that, as far as being in the current situation of really leaving the job that I did have that was paying decent money for where I am right now, which I knew it was going to be a pay cut. I knew that. It's just now I'm in the midst of it. So it's like kind of like really hitting a sister. So I'm kind of like, I knew that this was going to happen, but like at the same time, I'm not one of those people. There's a lot of people in the digital nomad space where it's just so, it's a major eye roll for me. And if you follow other like bloggers and stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People, I quit my job and, you know, I'm traveling the world, but these people had like, you know, amazing jobs, or they came from a corporate world, or they came from some type of like job where they were making pretty damn good money, where they were able to just kind of like, you know, all right, if they were quitting their, I'll put it like this, if they were quitting their jobs, they were probably quitting with, who knows, like at least more than a few G's saved up or whatever. So not to discredit people that go that route, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of regular people out there. What about us, you know? So on top of that, I have been in Korea for about 3 months now. But the thing that people don't tell you, because like I watch so many videos about YouTubers and about saving money and what were the tips, what were people doing to like save money as teachers, and also heard stuff about people, you know, paying their credit card bills off. You could pay off debt. And I've talked to some people who are living here who've been teaching here for like 5, 6, 8 years, and I know that the money that they were paying people back then is a lot different now. That's number one. Number two is that there's different pay rates. So like if you're coming here and you don't have like the traditional experience, there's like different levels as far as pay. So I'm basically starting in Korea, since I'm a first-time teacher, on like the basic first pay. And then on top, which is supposed to be 2 million won, but then there's like taxes and all this stuff, so it's really not 2 million won that I'm starting off with. And then on top of that, a lot of I mean, it depends on the contract, but I know most people who come here, you have to pay a deposit for the first 3 months, and that is a deposit of 300,000 won, which might not seem like a lot to people, but when, you know, if you're in my situation, you're already coming in with not a lot of money, plus they're taking 300,000 won, plus you're paying your mom back for, you know, her helping you out, and on top of that, school loans, which are yeah, so that's why it's like the first 3 months I've just been like hurting a little bit. I'm like I just paid my last deposit, so thank God for that. It's been a bit rough, and it's like everybody's situation is different. But look, the one thing I could say is I'd rather be living paycheck to paycheck outside of the US than inside of the US. And that is like real talk, because one thing I could say is this is my second country that I've lived in, and even though my money's low, and even my last, what was it? I got paid last month, and I was sitting there waiting for that money to come in because I had literally like $3 left in the account. So like the one thing I could say though is much more comfortable over here, and it doesn't really, I don't feel like might have the same feeling as if I was living paycheck to paycheck back in the States, especially considering this whole studio apartment, I'm not paying for it except for like gas and electricity. I can't really complain. I have to say that it's easier to move around paycheck to paycheck outside of the US than inside. My opinion though, that's just my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up, but I just want to say if you know, it is possible to live paycheck to paycheck outside of the US. It's possible to live paycheck to paycheck and travel. This whole myth that you need a whole lot of money to travel, you really don't. It's just kind of like about rearranging certain things in your life. So this is just, you know, to kind of like, this video is not about, I'll put it like this, I'm not giving any financial tips because I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out. Like, I mean, when it comes to managing my money for travel, I know how to do that. And I do it in a way where, you know, I do budget, you have to budget, but that's definitely very important, kind of keeping track of how much you're spending, you know, just the basic stuff. I know there's like a few different YouTubers. The only YouTube channel that I occasionally follow is the Financial Diet, but to be honest, I kind of feel like they have really good ideas and they have really good information and stuff, especially if you want to get more educated about the topic of, like, you know, being financially savvy and all that stuff. But I kind of feel like their demographic is not me. I'll put it like that, because I mean, I don't know, it's just, I'm not out here operating with a whole bunch of assets and stuff like that. I'm like out here in the nitty gritty. So I don't really, but I mean, I don't know. That is one page or one YouTube channel that I would recommend, because they do have some good information. If you're just trying to get more knowledgeable, if you're doing things guerrilla style, like it's just about, just keep a basic ass budget. Even if you have to have a book, you have to have an Excel sheet. That's what I would recommend. But it's possible, it's doable, to essentially be broke and travel, I guess. Yeah. If you have any other questions as far as like that I didn't answer, or you want something answered more in detail, please feel free to leave a comment, because I am on the comments and I respond. I'm like always, I'm looking for my notification bell to see when someone's like, you know, because I like to connect. I want to connect. I want to start, you know, talking more about my experiences in order to help other people who are wanting to travel, and not just travel, but some people who feel like, you know what, like moving around, having the freedom that comes from that, figuring out ways to create your own lifestyle, like really fit, like taking your own lifestyle into your hands. If there are people who are out there that feel this way, these are the people I want to connect with. You guys, I want to connect with you. I want to, you know, get a community going. Talking about, I'm not just talking about digital nomads. I hate that word. I'm going to talk about that later. Like, screw the digital nomad shit. I'm talking about just regular people who are just trying to, you know, want to live the nomad lifestyle. You don't know shit about computers. I'm talking about us. So sorry, I got a little bit passionate there, but anyway, yeah, please Leave a comment, you know, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and please stay tuned because I am really working on some other projects that I'm very excited about. I don't want to talk about them because I kind of feel like I just want to keep them to myself until they're ready to pop off. So projects are AKA side hustles, and that's the other thing I will talk about at another time, because as a nomad, you gotta have some type of side hustles, how we make it work. But anyway, love you peeps. Talk to you soon. Have a amazing day wherever you are in the world. What is that smell? It's always weird smells here in Korea. But anyway, peace. Love you. Why did I have tweezers in my hand just now? Oh my God.